Good evening. My name is Anwar Williams. I am the author of the book Making Excuse to Succeed, aka Mr. 313 Real Estate. I am also a credit repair agent. And the reason for me having this video is because I wanted to talk about the FCRA, or the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, there was a time, a company called Equifax, because you got Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. But there was a certain time, Equifax used to actually go out and try to get as much information from potential borrowers as possible. So they would use religion, race, sex, whether somebody smoke or drink. They would have ladies come in and act like they're a different company just to get as much information. They go back to Equifax and say, well, and they would share this information with lenders and say, oh, this person's this religion, or they're this color. Okay, but the government had to step in and say, listen, it's all about the credit worthiness of somebody. You can't use unnecessary information. Okay, so obviously a lender can use your tax information. They can use your credit worthiness or your credit report per se, and they can use like your basic information. Okay, but as far as what religion you are, what race you are, that's irrelevant as far as to get lending. Okay. Now, this is the important part. You have to know your rights. Okay. And the thing is, I encourage everybody to Google FCRA. This is a federal website. I think it's FCRA.gov. And you can find out all your rights as a consumer. Basically, there are certain aspects of your credit report that you need to know about. You need to know your rights. Okay, so that's why we have so many predatory lenders out here, is because the average person, or even more than average people, they don't even know all their rights as a consumer. They don't know all their credit rights. Okay, so let's go over some of the things that you potentially may not know about your credit report. Okay, number one, 80%, now this was done by the actual government, 80% of people's credit or their report is inaccurate. And what do I mean by inaccurate? Basically, that means is that whatever's on your report, 80% of it isn't reported correctly. So a lot of people think to get something deleted off your credit report, it has to be like some type of identity theft, or it has to be something that you didn't do. But that's not the point. You have to understand that the burden of proof is on the actual lender. To kind of like give you an illustration, it's very similar to like maybe law or the court of law, right? The prosecutor, they have the burden of evidence. They have the burden of proof. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the perpetrator or the defendant is guilty, okay? And so it's very similar with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The lender, they have to prove to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion that beyond a reasonable doubt that this is the most accurate report, okay? That they owe, and what that report entails is your name, the spelling of your name, your address, all the pertinent information, the account number, how much is owed, who the debt is, when the debt was originated, the dates, and more oftentimes than not, they don't have the accurate information. Okay, so there's a whole process that goes into this. Okay, but you can actually do this yourself, but you have to understand that it has to be processed in a certain way for it to be accurately disputed. Because if you don't do it correctly, then the dispute won't even take place. Okay, so you submit your dispute, and then whoever the lender is, or the debt collector, they have a certain amount of time to either remedy it or verify the information. If they can't verify it, if they cannot fix it, if they don't have the correct information, if it's proven to be incorrect, then it has to be deleted. And this happens about 80% of the time. Okay, so it's not exactly about whether you owe the debt or not. That's not really the point. The point is it accurate? Is it verifiable? Okay, so that's what you have to keep in mind. So I think it's more beneficial to get experts who actually know the laws, who know all the credit laws, who knows your rights, to do it for you. And this can be done very inexpensively, and it can be done very quickly. Now, if you got the time to do it on your own and you want to explore that, knock yourself out. But I do want you to know what your rights are. You do have the rights to, first of all, get your report free. Everyone's entitled to a free credit report every year from all 3 credit depositories. That's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Okay, it doesn't necessarily get you a score, but you can get your report for free every year. Okay, and then you have a right to dispute anything that's inaccurate on your report. The third thing you need to understand is that you have there is a maximum time for credit or anything that's derogatory to be on your credit report. And that's typically 7 years. Okay. Now for bankruptcies, it can be up to 10 years. But however, the one thing they don't say is there is no minimum amount of time it has to be on there. Okay. So even though the maximum is 7 doesn't mean it has to stay on there 7. Okay. That's just, there is a maximum, there's no minimum. Okay. So bankruptcies can be deleted. You know, in certain situations, student loans can be deleted. Okay. Anything negatively or unverifiable can be deleted from your credit report. There's no minimum amount of time, but there is a maximum amount. So a lot of people think that you have to wait 7 years for something to fall off your report, or you have to wait 10 years. That's not the case. Okay. Another law that people don't realize is that you have to give people permission, okay, to actually run your score or to run your report. So that means if it's a loan originator, if it's a banker, or if it's someone at a store, like if you at a Target, or if you at a Macy's, or if you at any store, they can't just take your information and just run your credit report. Okay, that's $1,000 fine. You can actually sue if that happens. So they have to have either oral or written permission to actually run your report, okay, and to see your credit worthiness. So a car dealership just can't run your report. They have to get your permission, okay? So that's one thing to keep in mind. So this is something that's very, very important. I want people to just realize the importance of your rights. So number one, understand there is a maximum amount of time to have these things on your report, but there's no minimum amount of time. Okay, so you don't have to wait the whole 7 years. So you don't have to wait 10 years for a bankruptcy. Okay. Inquiries as well. Okay, if you got 30 inquiries, you don't have to wait 2 years for the inquiries to fall off. Okay, you can dispute your inquiries as well. All these things are disputable. We're not disputing whether you did it or not. The dispute is whether it's verified or if it's accurate information. And like I said before, the government has reported that 80% of the time it's not. Okay, so you have a good chance of getting these things taken off your report. So you don't have to just be in misery and be subject to predatory lending, 20, 25% interest rates and APR, for getting a car, or you don't have to be subject or limited as far as getting a house or getting certain type of credit cards or credit limits. You can have these things. If you want to start a business, you can, but you got to do your homework. If you just take out an hour of your time, go to the FCRA report, you can learn the laws. If you just invest money, okay, and it's not that much money, if you just invest the money, you can get these items taken off by professionals who have a proven track record of getting deletions done, fixing your credit, okay? So there is a science to it. So what happens to people a lot of times is that they go to certain people and there's unrealistic expectations, okay? We're not guaranteeing that everything's gonna be deleted off your report, but we're just giving you the facts. We're giving you the numbers, like the numbers are in your favor for this happening. Okay, so there's no guarantee that one thing's gonna be deleted, but it can happen, okay? And more oftentimes than not, like I said, 80% of the time, it can be deleted if it's done the proper way, if it's done by professionals. Because oftentimes, I hear about people that get stuff deleted, and then 4 or 5 months later, it comes right back on your report, and it drags your credit report right back down, and you in the same boat, and you're wasting your money. So we don't want those things to happen as well. So I want you to take action. I want you to inbox me on Instagram, either at Hyperion Capital on Instagram. So that's Hyperion_Capital, or Mr. 313 Real Estate on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, Anwar Khalil Williams. Inbox me. I do free consultations. We can talk. We can go over what issues you're facing credit-wise, and then we can go from there. So make sure you inbox me, and I want you to share this information. I want you to leave comments and questions about anything on what I've just said. If you have questions about that and you really want to take action in 2019. Thank you.